I just like to share things that I end up liking, and I want you guys to be able to, save either money-wise or to get free samples and things like that. So that's what I'm sharing with you. So we're just relaxing here and just made my drink. Try to get that water in. Yes. And, if you haven't seen or heard my story, it has been 16 months on this weight loss journey. I am a post-bariatric patient. I had gastric bypass 24 years ago. I lost a lot of weight back then too, and old habits crept up. So I have to really watch, changing my whole lifestyle. And this time it's been 16 months and I've lost 125 pounds. So I think I'm considered a super loser, not a super... Okay, so I think it's called a super responder to a GLP-1 medication. But yeah, so I was motivated by my grandson who has battled leukemia for the last year and a half about. So October 2022, he was diagnosed. And while I spent Christmas vacation in the hospital with him in 2022, December, he encouraged me to go for walks because he was worried about me not being able to handle walking along a long way over in Disney World. I didn't even go with them to Disney World because I couldn't walk that far. My legs were in pain. It just, wasn't as fun for me, and I had to take a lot of breaks. Now, I liked going to Disneyland, but even Disneyland, my legs would be swollen. So then I just started walking around the hospital, and eventually, over time, I just kept walking more and more. And I made myself some little goals. I had to go walk in the morning before going to the Starbucks that was inside the hospital. And then I would walk in the evening. And a lot of these times, this is whenever my grandson was taking a nap. And then I just started learning again about, healthy eating, things that I was also teaching students. I was at the same time learning myself. And so I know that you don't want to eliminate food groups, but for me, because I'm very insulin resistant, I think I have lymphedema in my legs. I'm bigger in my lower half, but low carb worked best for me. So I just kept increasing that. And so walking, eating good, and then 7 months later, in July, I thought I was doing really good. I had lost 45 pounds, and I went in to see my doctor and found out my A1C was 6.0. So she said, hey, let's talk about taking some medication. And then my daughter told me about some friends who were taking either semaglutide or tirzepatide, and how well it was working. So I was like, okay, well, let me ask. And so I got started on Mounjaro, and I'm so glad that that's the one that I was able to get started on. And so that started at the end of July 2023, and now it's the last day of May, or now June 1st, because it's after midnight. And so that's a few months, 10 months already on Mounjaro, and I've lost 125 pounds. And during this process, I am reteaching myself how to make this a lifetime change. So I'm not just relying on Mounjaro on its own, but I'm learning how to focus on my protein and my veggies first. I air fry chicken. I add veggies to all of my meats that I eat. And so it's protein and veggies first for me. And then I'll add occasionally some complex carbs or carbs that come from the earth, like sweet potatoes and fruit. So I would say for the longest time in the morning, I would have a protein smoothie, and I would put blueberries because I know blueberries are good antioxidants, pineapple, mangoes, and then later I switched that over to having protein coffee. So protein coffee. And some of the changes that I'm making is trying to focus on getting 30 grams of protein in every meal. And so although I was having that protein drink in the morning, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. And we were in a weight loss contest, and so my coach was like, let's eliminate the fruit. So I was like, okay, I'll eliminate my smoothies in the morning. But I started intermittent fasting. And so the one way for me to not break my fast was to change over from a protein smoothie in the morning to a protein coffee. And I put MCT oil and heavy cream, so I had a low glycemic, no sugar added protein coffee, and so that helped. So one other tip I would have to say to you guys is any of these GLP-1s, they do not take away your hunger all the way. You will get, and I should use my I statement. So I didn't have like appetite suppression the whole time. And maybe, you know, your journey will be different, and it will vary as you take the different doses. But, you know, like the first couple of days after you take your shot, you typically notice that you're not as hungry. And so you kind of have to force yourself to eat. And you want to get into that habit of making sure you're having your 3 meals a day, whether you're hungry or not. So if you have to set an alarm, then do that. Because one thing you don't want to do is put your body into a starvation mode, because our bodies will think that we're starving and we'll hold on to everything. But you're going to notice a difference between like recognizing your real hunger in your stomach versus your head hunger. And you'll be happy to eat whenever you have that stomach hunger, and you'll feel proud of yourself for listening to that hunger. All right, so yes, so you're going to be proud of yourself for listening to your real hunger, and it's going to be good. Like, you will not starve, and just eat and make good choices. And I think one thing that's another good tip is to stop eating when you feel satisfied, when you feel satiated, and don't overstuff yourself. You're going to feel so much better. You're not going to get like stomach aches if you at least, you know, stop when you start feeling like partially full. And you know that feeling when you overdo it, so you don't feel good afterwards. So you'll start recognizing when that time is where it's good to go ahead and stop. One other thing that I did that was different this time was, if I craved a cookie, instead of binge eating and eating a bunch of cookies, I would have one or two, and that was it. So we'll have maybe some more of these, like being casual, sitting on the couch with Pam. So my friends like to call it Pammy and pajamas. You can't flip the camera around, but I have my pajamas on. Yep. Okay. All right. So go, don't be afraid. There is a shortage right now. I put in my request for my refill on Tuesday, and Costco didn't have it yet. And thankfully I'm like 4 weeks ahead, and so I'm good right now, but I hope they get it soon. The other thing is that I switched my day from Saturdays to Monday because I wanted to have Mounjaro Mondays, and then I'll come and do an update on Monday. But yeah, current weight is 188.